It's hope. And then if you can get Scatterboo out there and the whole building's going boo, it's hope. And as we know, hope works.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Craig Carton Show. Tyrone Johnson here. As always, we got a great Monday for you. Happy Rosh Hashanah to those of you that celebrate the Jewish New Year over the next couple of days. We got you back as well. And what a crazy Sunday it was when you're talking about games that came down to kicks, kick opportunities, and block kicks. And for one team, no kicker. Of course, that was the New York Giants. We'll get to that. But you can start anywhere you want. I think we can now quiet all the haters out there about, Jalen Hurts can't win a game for you. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball down the field. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown don't like each other. Bang, second half. Rams own the Eagles for the majority of that game. And then all of a sudden, Philly said, wait a minute. We've got a quarterback we paid $250 million to. We've got A.J. Brown on one side. We've got Devontae Smith on the other side. We got a top 5, I think, tight end of Dallas Goedert. And we've got Saquon behind us. Maybe, just maybe, we should throw the football. Bang! Kevin Patullo, the embattled offensive coordinator, says, Jalen, bail me out, baby! And he does. And then, of course, the game comes down to the Rams kicking. They had one kick blocked. They have a second kick, easy money kick, to win the game and do what they couldn't do in the playoff game in the snow last year. And then somehow, some way, as good as the Rams are, they have not coached how to protect their kicker on a field goal attempt, and Philly took advantage of it. And they covered the spread, which was crazy in Philadelphia. There was going to be a lot of people unable to pay rent coming up. And then all of a sudden, you get the block, you get the return, you get the touchdown, you get the cover, and you get your rent paid. Philadelphia, undefeated, still the kings of the NFC. And they're the kings. Why? Because Green Bay proved to be a little fraudulent yesterday. They've got a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They're playing against the lowly Browns. The Browns have no offense. Very good defense, though, led by Myles Garrett. And then what happens in that game? All of a sudden, Joe Flacco becomes the second coming of who? Patrick Mahomes, I guess, and leads them back 10-7, 10-10. And then leads them into position to do what? With Micah Parsons on the sideline on a pivotal third down play. Field goal for the Browns. It's good. It's good. And the Packers lose a game to the lowly Browns. And then we go to the New York Jets. Jets try to find their first win of the season. They're in Tampa. Don't forget the Jets defensive coordinator, who's the worst defensive coordinator in football, is the guy that was the head coach of Carolina, and he cut Baker Mayfield. The Jets get a block kick. They take it to the house with Will McDonald. The Jets are going to win. The Jets are going to win. I'm dancing in my house. I'm pouring Grand Marnier in my head. We're getting our first W of the year. And then what happens? Baker Mayfield said, you're the guy that cut me. I'm taking my team down the field, and we're going to take a kick at the buzzer, essentially, and we're going to steal victory from you. Third straight time Tampa's done that this year. Never happened before in the history of the NFL. So the Jets lose again 0-3, 29-27 to Tampa. And then we go where? And then we go to San Francisco, Arizona. Are the Cardinals going to start 3-0? Is that possible? Can that happen? Well, they've got the lead, right? They've got the lead 15-13. Bad game all around. Mac Jones stinks. McCaffrey's the only guy that can play on San Francisco. But my guy, Robert Saleh, still one of the best defensive coordinators in football, holds Arizona. And here comes Frisco. Here comes Frisco. Remember last year, missed a bunch of kicks? Remember they cut their kicker?
Yep.
They're like, we need a new kicker. Anybody available on the street? Yes, there is. And San Francisco, late in the game, makes a big kick. They win 16-15. They're 3-0. But we're not done yet. Chargers and Broncos. What? I thought that Sean Payton was the best game day coach in the NFL. That's what Mark Schlereth keeps telling me. Loser. Gives up the kick to Indianapolis to give them their first loss of the season. And then yesterday, here come the undefeated Chargers. Again, a kick late to win it after a brilliant job by Justin Herbert on 4th down on a game-tying touchdown at 20 all. They get a last-second kick, and they win the game 23-20. And then the New York Giants, they decided not to bring a kicker.
No kicker.
So every other game of the day, at least 5 of them, got decided on a last-second kick. The Giants were like, who needs a kicker?
Forget all that.
Right?
I don't need a kicker.
Only the New York Giants. So they're down 6-0, scored a touchdown, extra point. You know you don't have a kicker, so go for 2, obviously.
Yeah.
At least have a chance to get points.
Obviously,
they bring out some left-footed kicker who's actually their punter, who's never kicked before. He only punts. He's not a kicker. He's a punter. He's not a punter. I don't know what the hell they're doing there. And it gets blocked. Bang. Yikes. And the New York Giants last night and the majority of week 3, of course, big game tonight. We'll get to that later on. Lions and Ravens by embarrassing themselves. The New York Giants had Kansas City beat. The New York Giants and Kansas City were tied at 6, and Patrick Mahomes had 2 great Hail Mary throws, period, stop. I do not want to hear how great Patrick Mahomes is today. We know he's great. We know he's the best quarterback in football. But the 2 plays, the only 2 plays, to be fair, that the Kansas City Chiefs pulled off yesterday were both Hail Marys. They were Hail Marys. The one you get the pass interference call right before the end of the half, and then the other one was the touchdown to Tyquan, I'm forgetting, Thornton, who catches it right at the goal line for a touchdown. Those are Hail Marys. That was like brilliant, awesome quarterback play. And the Giants tied at 6. Mahomes throws the ball backwards for the second time in the game. A dude on the Giants has it. But because it's not good enough just to get possession, I need to score the touchdown myself. Doesn't fall on the ball. Tries to pick it off the hop. Mahomes, because he's the most aware player in the league, runs back, steals it from him, gets the possession back, and the Giants basically do nothing else the rest of that game.
Yeah, it changed the entire game. It was a wild day. This was a fun day to be a football fan. Crazy day.
It was a great day of football because all these games, and there's some really good teams involved here. The games came down to final possessions. The Jets thought they had a victory with the block and the return. The Eagles did get the victory on the block and return. The Rams thought they were going, 3-0, and the Eagles get their first loss. The reality of it is this. Here's the reality. For all the teams that did win yesterday, even the teams that did go to 3-0, for the first time, I guess in 5 or 6 years, because Kansas City has now clearly dropped back, right?
Yeah.
They may very well be in the playoffs this year. I never count out Mahomes because he's different. He's special. He's the best quarterback in football, and I think the most self-aware player in all of football today. For the last 5 or 6 years, we knew for a fact that there was one dominant team. At least in the AFC. And the AFC is a much harder conference, obviously, than the NFC. But there's always Kansas City. Can you beat Kansas City? Can you go to Arrowhead? Can. And the answer's been no. No one can really do it, right?
Yeah.
But right now in the moment, I think it's fair to say, because the Packers lost to the Browns, Kansas City struggled. I know they get their win. Good for you. That was not a pretty game, to be honest about it.
Not at all.
I wouldn't go home bowing up your chest about beating the New York Giants with no kicker, and they only targeted their best player like 3 or 4 times. And Malik Neighbors only had 2 catches for 13 yards. And when Tyrone Tracy went out, they thought that all of a sudden Cam Scatterbo is Barry Sanders. He's not. Nice player, a fan favorite for sure, average football player at this level. But here's our reality. There is no dominant team in the NFL. It is wide open. The Indianapolis Colts could go to the Super Bowl this year.
They could.
No joke.
Yeah, they could.
The Tampa Bay, they're laughing in my ear. That's not a joke.
Yeah, they could.
There is no dominant team. Now, you have 2 teams playing tonight that want to lay claim to being dominant. Lions and, of course, the Baltimore Ravens. They're both 1-1. The Ravens lost the game. They scored 40 points in the opener against the Bills. The Lions were disgustingly bad against Green Bay week 1. Came back with a 40 or 50 of their own in week 2. Both these teams now think it's ours. Baltimore thinks the AFC is theirs. Rightfully so. Detroit must think the NFC is theirs, rightfully so. I don't remember a time in recent memory when it was this wide open where every team with a winning record after 3 weeks can legitimately say to their fan bases, why not us?
Yeah.
I think that's on the table.
Yeah, it is on the table this year. We'll see. It's early. But as of right now,
it's crazy early.
But as of right now, you're right.
The Bengals are done. No Joe Burrow.
Yep.
So take them off, right? The Bills are legit. We'll see tonight which team is better between the Lions and the Ravens. Kansas City is an average football team at best right now.
Yeah.
Tampa's undefeated, but they've won every game literally in the last possession of those games, so they're not dominant. The Texans haven't won a game. It's mayhem. It's crazy NFL mayhem, and I'm here for all of it. We got a great show for you today. Don't go anywhere.
They have Boise State, they have Arkansas, they have USC. There's no shot in Purdue. Those are the only big games that they have the rest of the way. They're not getting back into the college football playoff. They're not, Donnie. I don't care if they've won 10 straight.
Remember when they lost to NIU? No way, no care. What happens the rest of the season? They can't get in. Who was in the college football championship last year?
But they had marquee wins at some point
I don't care. They lost to NIU.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I needed a mental break when the season was over. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. You get tired of training. But, man, I never get tired of playing golf. I love it. I mean, every course is different. Every day is different. And some days you're like, oh, I got this. I got it. Then you go out there and shoot a 95 the next day. I'm like, damn.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
NFL season with about 750,000 downloads. Really interesting when you look at the third and the fourth spot. You have Bet365 and Fanatics, which were, again, that first week, they were the only sports books that grew. The good news for the other sports books in terms of downloads this week is even when you take out Fanatics and Bet365, app downloads still grew about 20% across the board overall.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left on it for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. I was trying to figure out, amongst the teams that lost yesterday, which was the worst loss. And I've got 3 for consideration, if I may, right?
Fair enough.
So you could be like the Oscars of the foreign film press.
Oh, yeah.
I'll give you the 3. You tell me which was the worst loss. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, so loss number 1, the Dallas Cowboys, 4 o'clock yesterday. We're all getting pumped up. Cowboys, are the Cowboys back? Are the Cowboys going to drop a 30-burger on the 0-2 Chicago Bears? Final score 31-14. And the Bears dominated every single aspect of this game against the Dallas Cowboys. It was hard to watch, frankly. And for a Dallas Cowboy team coming off of, the win against the New York Giants and scoring 40 points, and all of a sudden looks like CeeDee Lamb and Pickens are going to be a nice little combo, and maybe they can run the ball a little bit. I don't get it. Like, the Dallas Cowboys went into a stadium with a dead team and a fan base ready to turn on their new coach, to be fair, and on their embattled second-year quarterback. And you would have thought the Chicago Bears were undefeated and were licking their chops, matching mushrooms, licking their chops to get the Dallas Cowboys. That's an old reference, I'm sorry, to Boomerang, one of the great Eddie Murphy movies that nobody saw. You got to flip it. You got to whip that.
Yeah.
And that's
your problem. Mushroom belt.
Mushroom belt. Matching mushrooms.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, and it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys weren't ready for that game.
Not at all.
Or if they were, they're just completely outplayed and outmatched. Maybe you could say Chicago's a desperate team at home. The season's on the line, so give them a little bit of grace. But I was embarrassed by the Dallas Cowboy performance. That's one. They lose by 17. The second loss, which has to be up there, I know it's a close game, and I want to give the Browns defense a lot of love and credit because they might very well be the best defense in football right now in the moment with Myles Garrett there. But to lose, 13-10 against an 0-2 Cleveland Browns team, and Jordan Love had played great football in the first 2 weeks, and Packers fans, rightfully so, kind of felt like there's something special brewing here. This might be our year. The way we manhandled Detroit in week 1, we're kind of kings of the division now. Our quarterback's playing his ass off. You add Micah Parsons to an already good defense. We might be the best defense and a top 5 offense. And it didn't look like any of it. Their defense was good, but you stopped Joe Flacco. And the reality is that you're up 10-0 in the fourth. You let Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns put 13 unanswered points against you in the fourth quarter. That ain't the sign of a great defense.
Not at all.
So I got the Packers in there as one of the 3 worst losses. And then the last one is a game, let's be honest. If you have Red Zone or if you have the NFL ticket, and I know it's crazy expensive, a lot of you don't have it, I get it. I have a second job just so I can afford it. Which is just my lot in life right now.
I pay it monthly.
I deliver newspapers now on the side.
That's you up early in the morning? I didn't realize that was you.
I shave ice on the Cross Bronx Expressway and sell Italian ices to people sitting in traffic.
Lemons
just so I can afford the ticket and Red Zone. But the Atlanta Falcons were supposed to be a team that was going to press Tampa here in the division. And Michael Penix, off to a decent start. His first year as a starter there. And they got arguably the best offensive player in football, not named Christian McCaffrey and Robinson down there, right?
Yeah.
And they didn't just get spanked. They got spanked like they got caught stealing, right?
Yeah.
Like, go get the switch and hit yourself with it type of thing. 30-zip. So if you had to rank the 3 worst losses, I would include the Giants in that. But let's be fair. What were the expectations of the Giants against Kansas City? Most people had that written in blood as a guaranteed loss for New York.
Yeah.
And while it was 9-6 at halftime, you knew the Giants had nothing in the tank coming out in the second half. We'll get to that more a little bit later on in the show. So Cowboys losing to Chicago. You have Atlanta getting whitewashed by the Carolina Panthers, or you have the Packers losing to the Browns. If you were voting, rank the losses?
I'm going to give the Browns some credit.
Okay, so third.
I'm going to make that one third because I'm giving them some credit.
All right.
Maybe a year from now we go, wow, that was Caleb Williams becoming a good quarterback.
Maybe.
Maybe
not.
Maybe not, but I'm going to try that maybe.
So, that's the second.
And then you can't lose 30-0 to no damn Carolina. I don't care who you are. You can't lose 30-0 to Carolina. The quarterback threw for 122 yards. How'd they score 30? You can't do that. You can't lose 30-0.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins ended up playing. Penix was so bad they don't want to play Cousins. They want to trade Cousins.
They're trying to trade him.
They want to put him in mothballs.
Yeah.
It was so bad that they couldn't look each other in the eye, so they had to say, all right, let's put Cousins back.
I'm with Tyrone on that. I think of all the outcomes, you could have made an argument. Again, Chicago up against the wall, 0-2. New coach. At some point, it's going to click and look better. And we don't know what Dallas is, right? We're not sure if the Dallas Cowboys are really any good. They had one decent offensive performance, period, stop. So that's probably the least surprising that Chicago at least defended the home turf. We know the Cleveland Browns have a badass defense.
Right. So
again, you can give them the love. Well, their defense, who's played great all 3 games now, does what they do.
Right.
And that's play really top-notch, suffocating type defense.
And a block kick.
And a block kick
in the specialty.
But nobody, I guarantee you, there were a lot of people, if you play in those eliminate or suicide pools.
Yeah, survivor pools.
Survivor pool, whatever you want to call it. I guess suicide's probably not a good name for it, but survivor pool, I bet you a lot of dudes had Atlanta.
What's crazy
because you pick a team going up against a bad football team, and Carolina is a bad football team.
Yeah.
So to me, if you had told me on Friday that there was a chance that Atlanta would lose. I don't care the score. I'd say probably not, but anything can happen. If you tried to sell me on them losing 30-0 to the Oompa Loompa at quarterback, Bryce Young, and the Carolina Panthers, no joke, I would have drug tested you and then asked you for a little taste.
Yeah.
Because nobody in their right mind could have possibly conjured up the notion of a 30-0 game from that team.
Absolutely not.
Right?
It's probably the craziest game we're going to have all season.
I did have a weird moment on Friday, speaking of drugs. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I stopped at my local dispensary
for
a little extra something for the weekend.
There you go.
Because I know what the Jets do on Sundays, and I can't do that sober anymore. And I walk in, minding my own business, and I just get a couple Camino edibles. Yeah. And who's in there with a pre-order of $390 on edibles?
$90?
$390. Our producer.
What?
Yeah, Ethan downstairs.
Come on, Ethan.
I think he has a drug problem myself. That's a lot of edibles for one guy. More football coming up after this.
They have Boise State, they have Arkansas, they have USC. There's no shot in Purdue. Those are the only big games that they have the rest of the way. They're not getting back into the college football playoff. They're not, Donnie. I don't care if they've won 10 straight.
Remember when they lost to NIU? No way, no care. What happens the rest of the season? They can't get in. Who was in the college football championship last year?
But they had marquee wins at some point.
I don't care. They lost to NIU.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I needed a mental break when the season was over. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. You get tired of training. But, man, I never get tired of playing golf. I love it. I mean, every course is different. Every day is different. And some days you're like, oh, I got this. I got it. Then you go out there and shoot a 95 the next day. I'm like, damn.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
NFL season with about 750,000 downloads. Really interesting when you look at the third and the fourth spot. You have Bet365 and Fanatics, which were, again, that first week, they were the only sports books that grew. The good news for the other sports books in terms of downloads this week is even when you take out Fanatics and Bet365, app downloads still grew about 20% across the board overall.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in the second half, and yet somehow they managed a shank of a 60-yard field goal, and a flag comes in with no time left, Donnie, for a penalty. Do you want to know how many times that penalty of leverage was called all last season? Want to take a guess?
How many?
4.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Yeah, we had a sad moment, unfortunately, this weekend, as one of the greats has unfortunately succumbed to the undefeated Vijay.
Oh.
Because I saw something on Saturday that I never thought I'd see in my entire life. Mr. Bill Belichick, Mr. Stoic Bill Belichick, with Mr. No Personality Bill Belichick, Mr. I'm going to be deadpan and only talk about football and I have nothing else to say about anything other than football, was on the sideline right before kickoff.
Yeah.
North Carolina was playing Central Florida, and they got waxed, by the way, 30-49. You can see the video right there. And he's like embracing and hugging and kissing his girlfriend, who is younger than his grandchildren, of course.
Yeah.
But on the sideline right before kickoff. And I'm watching this going, what happened? What happened? What happened to the great Bill Belichick that he is now so cuckolded? I think that's the right word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cuckolder, right? Is that one word or two? Is it cuckolder?
No.
Or cuckolded?
No, it's
I don't know what it is.
And it's a K. There's no
It
H.
means he's whipped is what it means.
Yeah.
And for a guy that used to be like part of the last bastion of manhood on the planet, to see him be cuckolded on the sideline before a college football game and then lose by 25 to a team I didn't even know existed is awesome, because screw Bill Belichick. But it is a reminder, I think, to all coaches out there, and I say this hopefully without getting in trouble or raising the ire of anyone, but there's a certain fact we have to accept about football.
Yeah.
Maybe no other sport, but certainly football. Wives, girlfriends, and same-sex partners, so I include everyone, are not welcome on the sideline of a game a minute before kickoff. You can save your hugs and tongue kissing for post-game celebrations.
That's right.
Or post-game hugs and sadness after losing. But watching one of the great coaches of all time be reduced to a pile of rubble because his girlfriend wants to remind everybody that she's his girlfriend by whistling sweet nothings in his ear right before kickoff.
And what is she wearing for football?
And I'll tell you something else about it. All right? It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Watching a 70-year-old man be glam-handed by a 20-year-old girl on the sideline a minute before kickoff is disgusting. And I don't want it shoved down my throat or in my face. I don't want to watch an old man make out with a girl far too young for him to be dating. But on a more global scale, a memo to coaches. I appreciate that you love someone out there, and there's someone out there that loves you. I don't care if it's a man, a woman. I don't care if it's guy, girl. None of it matters to me. But that ain't a place for it. I don't want to see it. That's why we're throwing dildos on fields these days.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it, because you're shoving it in our faces, so we're giving it right back to you. And if there was ever a time for a dildo to be thrown on a college football field, that was the time.
That was the time.
Because how great would it have been if someone, hopefully didn't hit anyone, but someone
in the vicinity.
Yeah, someone throws a dildo on the field and she had to go pick it up.
Oh, man.
That would have been awesome. But for a guy that spent, I have 2 lives with Bill Belichick. One life, he was my best friend in Cleveland, Ohio, when I was doing sports talk radio on 3WA in Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
And he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
So we should get him on the show.
We were like peas and carrots.
Yeah, we should get him on.
And then he went to New England, and then he won 6 Super Bowls, and he forgot anybody that knew him when he lived in Cleveland, including me.
Okay.
All right? So because of that aspect of my relationship, or lack thereof, with Bill Belichick, watching his fall from grace, which is not usually something I root for.
Yeah.
Or enjoy, because I've experienced it in my own life and saw people celebrating my fall from grace and my personal struggles and problems. It's like an after-school special now.
Yeah.
So I rarely ever get joy when someone else has a very public fall from grace. But this one at least doesn't involve any alleged criminality or drugs or gambling or drinking or someone got hurt. This is just an old man addicted to the young piece. That's all this is. And the fact that it's happening in real time and he can't beat Central Florida in football because he's so distracted by the young you-know-what is awesome. It's awesome. I love every second of it. And it should be a cautionary tale for everyone else out there. The field is not for you. Stay off it.
Do you think that it's great, because we know it's undefeated, or it's because of his age? Is he grading her on the curve there?
I'm sorry?
Do you think it's great?
Yeah.
Or it's because he's north of 70?
No,
is he grading on the curve?
She's grading on the curve.
Yeah. Oh, she's the one grading on the curve. All right, fair enough.
If she's like, that was awesome, I've never had better, I can guarantee you she's lying.
All right. But she's probably solid.
Yeah.
All right.
We got more NFL coming up. Are you ready to accept that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback you want with the ball in his hands? 2 minutes to go? Maybe.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I've screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell?
The cop out here is he stays healthy. Yes, right? He'll do it. It's not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets, right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. He can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. That should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah, I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens, and look. I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope all your picks came in. We'll get you Tyrone's updated picks, and I think I have a pick on tonight's game as well. I was already looking forward to next Monday. It's not good. There's another doubleheader next Monday. The first game at 7:15 starts early. Is no joke. The Jets and the Dolphins. It's the toilet bowl game. And it's the first bowl game of the year in football. More on that, obviously, much later in the week. It's funny. We said on Friday that the Kansas City Giants game, both 0-2 going into the game, was the single most important regular season game the Chiefs have played since Mahomes' first year as starting quarterback. So you're talking, 6 years, 7 years, right?
Yeah.
Where this game mattered for Kansas City because, as you know, 0-3 teams only 4 times in the modern era have ever made it to the postseason, and none of those 4 teams ever got to or won a Super Bowl. So it's fair after 35 years of data to suggest if you're 0-3, you're now preparing for the draft. I know that sucks. We haven't even gotten to Columbus Day yet, but 0-3 teams this season is a wrap. So last night's game was huge because you had there's your matchup coming up for next Monday night, but these are the 6 0-3 teams that are left. The Texans, the Dolphins. We knew the Saints were going to be arguably the worst team in football. The Giants, we thought they would stink. Tennessee, I thought would be a little bit better because I'm a huge Cam Ward guy, but the coach is completely over his skis. He did something yesterday, just real quick.
It's impossible.
I know nobody watched it, right?
It's impossible.
But it's 4th and 11. It was still a closer game, and the other team calls a timeout. They're going to go for it on 4th and 11. They're going to kick a field goal on 4th and 11. The other team calls a timeout. They rethink going for it or not. Then they call a timeout. Then they bring the field goal unit out there for a 54-5-yard field goal, and they take a delay a game penalty after back-to-back timeouts.
That's impossible to do.
It's impossible.
It's impossible to do.
Callahan's the worst coach in the NFL, and it's not long for Tennessee. But, so those are the 6 teams that are 0-3. But let me just get back to Kansas City for a second. Here's why. I know Kansas City doesn't like my take on Kansas City. That's fine. Get over it. It's too bad. I only tell the truth on this show. If we agree that last night's game was the most important regular season game in the Mahomes era, certainly of the last 5 or 6 years,
absolutely,
I would be very concerned because the New York Giants are not a very good team. You've got the Ravens coming up next weekend. You have no chance of beating the Baltimore Ravens if you play it all the way you played in your first 3 games. You have Detroit 2 weeks later. You got Washington 2 weeks later. And then you get Buffalo all before the bye. I'm not going to get to the second half yet.
And even the Jacksonville game's not a gimme that we thought. They've been better than we expected.
Jacksonville's playing a little bit better, fair enough.
Than we thought.
I would think you still beat them, but yes, they are playing a little bit better football. And I think Liam Cohen's doing a good job there. 3 weeks into his tenure as head coach. But I'd be concerned because even though Patrick Mahomes had the 2 Hail Marys, and those are plays not every quarterback can make, but they also weren't special. He got away from a couple sacks. Yeah, I give him credit for that. Scrambling out of the pocket, rolling to his right on the big one where they got the pass interference called, down about the 5 or 6 yard line or so. But that was just a heave. That was a desperation throw down the field, and it's one of those, cross my fingers, and let's hope the referees bail me out.
Yeah.
Well, the refs didn't have to bail you out. I think it was Phillips in the Giants secondary. Just ridiculous pass interference. And with 7 seconds left, and they wound up getting the field goal that gave them the 3-point lead. You can let him catch the ball there. They can't get down the field in time and get a snap off. They're out of timeouts.
Right.
So the referee, the bad defensive play bailed them out. Then you have the Thornton touchdown. Same kind of scenario. It was a Hail Mary pass.
Yep.
So if that was the most important game that the Chiefs have played in the regular season, in the Mahomes era, and you've got Kelsey and Andy Reid fighting on the sideline, right? And Andy Reid kind of giving him the little shoulder, which I loved, right? You're standing up to Travis Kelsey. And they're not a great running team.
No.
Mahomes leads them in rushing yards. I'm saying to myself, I would be seriously concerned if I'm a Chiefs fan that with my season on the line, the most important regular season game, and it's 9-6 at halftime against a bad football team, that's a problem.
It's a real problem, and it's to the point where if you tell me right now playoffs or not playoffs, right at this minute, I would have to say no playoffs. Now, I'm going to build in.
Chargers are better. Broncos had 2 devastating losses, but very competitive team with a great defense. You're right.
And looking at the AFC overall, now I'm assuming that they will get some players back. They'll free, once he's free, he'll be back. Yeah. And I'm assuming they're going to make a trade for a running back or something. But as is, they don't look like a playoff team.
No, they're not a very good football team. They're very well coached, and Mahomes is the difference maker.
Yeah.
But I didn't walk out of that game going, oh, Kansas City's back. I thought there was a couple drives where it looked like, okay, now we're getting Kansas City in a rhythm. But the Giants' defense got a turnover, an interception, and did a good job against them in the second half. And they did it with no offense on their side.
Right.
So that defense is on the field a lot, and the Giants' offense wasn't helping. And I'm thinking about this because in my head, and it's hard for this small little beautiful head to conjure this up. We always think, who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? All right, it's Mahomes, it's Allen, it's Lamar, it's Jalen, it's Stafford, right? Some variation of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then watching yesterday, I want to change the question because I think when you change the question, you change the answer. So if I gave you this new question, down by 6, 2 minutes to go, no timeouts, on your own 20, what quarterback in the league do you want playing for your team on offense? Now, the easy answer is still going to be Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. Not the what I've seen this year. I do not give Patrick Mahomes credit for 2 Hail Marys that the Giants misdefended. I'm not. I'm sorry. And I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in football, but 2 minutes to go, how do you not take Jalen Hurts? Now, I don't think he's the best quarterback in football. I told you I had him 4th after week 2. Tomorrow on the show, we do it every Tuesday. We'll give you our updated rankings based on all the action happening. And maybe tonight we'll change my opinion on some of this because you have Lamar going against Goff, and they're 2 top 10 quarterbacks, right? But if I'm down 6, 2 minutes to go on my own 20, what else do I need to see that I didn't see yesterday from Jalen Hurts? Because once they opened up the game plan for him, and that game was a wrap, they're down 3 scores in that game yesterday. I don't think Nick Sirianni's a great coach, right? I don't know enough about Patullo to tell you if he's a good coordinator or not. But when they made the decision at halftime, we're turning our offense over to Jalen Hurts. All of a sudden, this badass Rams defense wasn't so badass anymore. A.J. Brown came to life, and the Eagles had their way with the Rams defense once they decided that they trusted Jalen Hurts, which means before that, they didn't trust Jalen Hurts to go out there on his own and win them a game. The second quarterback I would take, again, is not Patrick Mahomes. And I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's Justin Herbert.
Played great.
Justin Herbert against what we thought was going to be if not the best, certainly a top 3 defense, and they probably still are, in the Denver Broncos. Justin Herbert led them on a drive late to tie it with the 4th down touchdown pass to Keenan Allen, and then drove them again
with a field goal.
And by the way, and give obviously their defense some credit too, because they tied the game with 2.5 to go and got the ball back and went right down the field and got the 50-plus yard field goal to win it. Justin Herbert, ever since he started dating Madison Beer,
raised his game.
All of a sudden, that dude is what we thought he was going to be in the first 3 years of his career. And I compare it to Jared Goff dating Christian Harper, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model.
Yep. Raised his
Jared
game.
Goff was an average quarterback. Yeah, the Rams went to a Super Bowl, they lost. He gets traded for Stafford, right? But once he started sleeping with Christian Harper, his now wife, all of a sudden Jared Goff became a rock star. So if you're an average quarterback and you're single, or you don't like your wife, and you're trying to figure out, what do I need to do to become a great? Follow the line of what Justin Herbert did, Madison Beer, of what Jared Goff did, Christian Harper, and I'll give you another one. Even though he was a badass before this could be the year that Josh Allen finally gets over the hump and beats Baltimore and/or Kansas City and gets to a Super Bowl. Because who's he married to?
He's married to the actress.
Some other actress.
Some actress. I forget.
Yeah.
Haley Seinfeld.
Haley Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Not bad on the eyes. That's the new recipe to become a great quarterback.
Credit to the Giants, who were so good in April, and then since then just kind of fell apart. Now they're back in it again. I think the Mets will get in, but it is fascinating that they'll play the Marlins here the last 3 games of the season, and I know without a doubt that the Marlins are going to line up Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and top guys to try and beat the Mets.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is the biggest story in sports. It is the ability to predict outcomes in sports without calling it sports betting. But I guess Massachusetts doesn't like it very much, and they're saying basically you can't operate in our market without having a license like FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're coming at this company, Robinhood, who you may be familiar with. Robinhood right now says, hey, we should be able to operate just like these other companies.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
He says, you can't get in the position Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, those guys are this tall. You're never gonna be as flexible as them. You got a lot more leverage and you got a lot of more moving parts than those dudes.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
I like the shadows coming in, Neyland Stadium. Show me
High
those
school,
3:30.
Joe,
Back
we
in the
played
day,
all our games on Saturdays. Maybe one or two games on a Friday night away. I always loved that. Same thing in college. Hated Friday night football games in college.
I understand why they do it prime time and we have to play. But going back to when we grew up, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Action.
Throw another pancake on that plate. Yeah, let's go, Keith Jackson. That's my guy here.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. We actually have breaking NFL news right now. I apologize for looking at my phone, but that's where you get your breaking news these days. Brian Daboll and the New York Giants are 9-31 in their last 40 games with him as head coach. Wow! And it has just been announced that the New York Jets want to hire him. So, not breaking news, but certainly possible. Certainly
he'll be there.
The Jets have their 3rd straight coach starting his first year off 0-3. Gase was 0-3. My dear friend Robert Saleh, who's killing it in San Francisco right now, 0-3. And now Aaron Glenn, also 0-3. So the Jets have called the Giants and wonder if Brian Daboll's available. And the answer is yeah. Oh, yeah. You can take Joe Shane, our GM, too. Just real quick, put Daboll's record up. that first year was his best year. They made the playoffs.
Won a game.
Right?
Won a playoff
Beat
game.
Minnesota on the road. And then since then, 6-13, 3-14, 0-3. It's 9-31 because they lost the second round of the playoffs, obviously. I think it was to Philly. But 9-31 in the last 40 games that he has coached the New York Giants. The Giants have become the laughingstock of the NFL, and the Jets are right there with them. MetLife Stadium, where they both play, neither team's even close to being 500 since they opened that dump up almost 20 years ago now. It's an absolute embarrassment. Brings us to your news and notes. Remember last week we told you that Tom Brady was going to lead a flag football game for the Fanatics brand in Saudi Arabia?
Be there. Yeah, Saquon and some others going to be
Max
there.
Crosby, Sean Payton, a bunch of coaches are going. It's like a who's who type of thing. Well, found out over the weekend what it took to get Tom Brady to say yes to dusting off the old chicken wing and playing flag football. You want to take just a wild guess?
Yeah.
Paid for by the Saudi Arabia Wealth Management Fund.
Yeah.
And just for background, for those of you that are like, I can't believe you're playing in Saudi Arabia. I hate the live golfers for doing it. If you've ever bought a ticket online, Saudi Arabia's wealth fund owns Ticketmaster. All right, so don't act like you wouldn't participate
I don't like
with them.
Ticketmaster, though.
Yeah, well,
all
now
them
you
stupid all them fees and stuff. The ticket's supposed to be $50. I go to checkout, it's $345.
I'm with you. I'm just saying, you're already giving your money to them, so don't act like you're not.
Yes.
All right, so how much do you think it costs to get Tom Brady to play a single game of flag football in Saudi Arabia?
I know Michael Rubin's involved. They're friends, so I'm going to say about $5 million.
$5 million? That's crazy. That's high. $5 million for a single game of flag football?
I say that because Tom Brady makes a lot of money, so it would take a lot of money.
Right. Well, the answer is higher, Bob. You want to take another guess?
Sure. All right.
Good.
5. All right. Let me go $12 million.
$12 million for a single game of flag football.
That's a lot of money, it feels like.
Oh, it's a lot of money for most people. Yeah, no. Higher, Bob.
All right. I'm going to double it and add a little more. I'm going to say $30 million.
Higher, Bob.
40.
Higher, Bob.
50.
Higher, Bob.
55.
Higher, Bob.
60.
Higher, Bob.
65.
Higher, Bob.
70.
Saudi Arabia is paying Tom Brady $75 million.
What?
To play a single game of flag football. And for those of you out there that are like, I can't believe Dustin Johnson said yes to live. I can't believe Tom Brady and Saquon Barkley are going to take that dirty, filthy money. You would too.
I'm taking that money.
And my point, what I said on Friday, we all got a price.
Yeah.
Now, when you have a $375 million deal from Fox, I don't. Tom Brady does. Your number's a lot higher. Yeah. He's also a bit of a financial whore. Let's be honest. Now, I don't blame him for taking it.
Right.
$75 million
that's a lot
guaranteed in your bank account.
For one day?
For one game of flag football. So you got that. Number 2, news and notes. If many of you hate New York, because we're a little arrogant and cocky and we think we're the greatest city in the world. I've kind of gotten off that. I used to be that guy. There's no better place than New York. And I lived in the city for 10 years, and I don't want to move back, to be honest. I like working here. I didn't like living here. But just consider the Jets and Giants both suck. The Mets have controlled their own destiny as far as a playoff berth goes since April 5th of this year. And then they played a game yesterday. And watch how, this is a close game or a tie game, right? 9th inning, 10th inning, whatever it is. And watch how the center fielder, is this the Braves, guys? Who'd they play yesterday? I forget who they played.
Playing the Nats.
The Nationals, I apologize. Look at that. The ball hits his glove, and then he kicks it, hacky sack style, up in the air and makes the catch.
That's unbelievable.
And that cost the Mets the victory yesterday. They wind up losing the game, and they are now on the outside looking in with 6 games to go. The Cincinnati Reds have the tiebreaker against them. They have the same exact record. So if it ended today, the New York Mets with their $900 million payroll and Juan Soto would not make the playoffs. That would be arguably, if not the single, certainly a Mount Rushmore of major choke jobs in the history of Major League Baseball, and all because the guy kicked the ball out of the air to himself.
And I was checking the schedule. They have to play the Cubs next, the Mets.
Cubs coming up, and then they end with the Marlins.
And meanwhile, who have won 9 of their last 10, talking about the Marlins. Meanwhile, Cincinnati, that you had just mentioned, they're playing Pittsburgh. So
And
that's
Pittsburgh sucks, right?
that's not great.
So with 6 games to go, the
That's
New
not
York
great.
Mets, with all the hoopla over getting Soto. Soto's had a great year, by the way.
Yeah.
Are on the outside looking in and might not make the playoffs, which is a travesty.
It would be.
And then the craziest thing yesterday
20
was
games over 500.
that play happened with the kicking and all that.
Yeah.
Within 30 seconds of the Jets blocking the kick with Will McDonald yesterday, right? Getting the touchdown, thinking they're going to beat Tampa, and then Tampa comes down the field in like 40 seconds and gets the game-winning field goal by themselves. So if you're a New York fan, and the way it works in New York is, it's Giants, Yankees, Mets, Jets typically.
Yeah.
You had to suffer the indignity of the Tampa comeback and a hacky sack, let's play soccer like Ronaldo to knock the New York Mets out of the playoffs within like 5 minutes of each other. It was terrible.
I feel for Mets and Jets fans. I do. I don't love the teams. I'm from Philadelphia, obviously, but I do really feel for the fans. That's a tough beat.
It was awful.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I'll give you, just to show you how special the Eagles' comeback was. And it's improbable. You blocked 2 field goals, not one. And it wasn't even close. Like, that offensive line was terrible for the Rams. In the last 195 times, over the last 2 years, that an NFL team was down 19 points. Why don't you tell everybody what the record was for the team that was down 19, the same spot the Eagles were in the second half? It's happened 195 times in the last 2 years. What's the record?
It was 2 and 193.
I'm sorry?
2 and 193.
Yeah, that's one of those games where you're like, we're up 19 in the third. Start packing the bags, get the equipment going. We want to get the first flight out of here. It's improbable.
Yeah.
And the way they did it off the block kick when the Rams were about to make a kick to win the game was crazy. Crazy football. We have a great game tonight. We'll get into it right after this.
Look at the weather, try to look for some anytime touchdowns or maybe some props that you really feel confident about. But it's always the time for urgency, especially for a team like the New York Giants. I think that defense is something that can give Giants fans hope. And then if you get Dart under center, it's hope. And then if you can get look at the weather, try to look for some anytime touchdowns or maybe some props that you really feel confident about. But it's always the time for urgency, especially for a team like the New York Giants. I think that defense is something that can give Giants fans hope. And then if you get Dart under center, it's hope. And then if you can get Scottaboo out there and the whole building's going boo, it's hope. And as we know, hope works.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're in the Super Bowl market, if you're in the futures market, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill is heavily connected to the Kansas City Chiefs. I am sure it would be Tyreek's first place if he could pick to go back to. At least I would think it would be. And the Chiefs have a need, and the Chiefs are interested, and they're not worried about any of his other question marks.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
They had clearly in hand at the end, especially in.
Hi, welcome back to the Craig Carton Show. Hope you had a great weekend. Huge game tonight. We'll get to Baltimore, Detroit in 1 second. Just I want to one extra news to note I didn't get to last segment. Mark Davis, the owner of the Vegas Raiders, who's got that hot 20-year-old girlfriend who claims that she didn't know that he was a billionaire when she started sleeping with him.
Yeah, she just liked him.
Okay. He took some pictures over the weekend with a couple other folks out there, all wearing pink wigs.
Yeah.
And I was just interested in, I didn't know what the story was behind it. I think A.J. Wilson was just named MVP for the 18th time
for
or something.
the 4th time.
Whatever it is, I don't care. But I do care about a new style that I might want to adopt.
Right.
So Mark Davis, you see in the picture there, he's the good-looking girl on the right, was wearing a pink wig. So I did a little research. That's what I like to do.
Could you pull that off?
Oh, I'll wear a pink wig tomorrow.
Right.
I'm a sexy pink-haired dude. I'll tell you that right now. You can't say no to me when I got pink hair on. But it turns out it was a protest.
Oh, it was.
Which I thought was interesting. It's a protest fighting the stigma against periods.
What was?
And look, I didn't do very well in school either, but
what was?
I have nothing against periods at all. Semicolons are a problem for me, but I got no problem with the periods. So apparently Mark Davis there's a stigma about periods, but I don't know what that is.
So it's a love-hate thing with the period.
I don't know.
Love-hate thing.
It's a grammatical thing that I don't care too much about, but it's a weird thing to protest against. Because who's really checking to see if your grammar's always right? Meanwhile, we got Baltimore and Detroit tonight. You can lay claim the winner of this game is the best team in all football. That's on the table for this game, depending, of course, how it plays out. If you get an ugly game like we got last night between the Giants and the Chiefs, that's off the board. I don't think you're going to get that. Lions, of course, off their huge 50-burger in week 2. You've got Baltimore, just offense has been lights out 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
To me, and I think Baltimore's the better team.
Yeah.
I think tonight's game is where Baltimore reminds everybody again that this is our year. All due respect to Buffalo, Kansas City has clearly come back to the pack.
Oh, yeah.
They are not a very good football team. They've got the track record of success, but you watched them again last night. I think Baltimore can kind of put their flag in the ground tonight and announce to everybody, I know we lost to Buffalo and gave up a 15-point lead with 4 minutes to go. That was an anomaly. We are the best team in all of football. And conversely, after the dud against Green Bay, I think Detroit can say the same thing. If Detroit puts the smackdown on Baltimore, I don't think they will. But if they do, you wake up tomorrow morning and it's the Lions right there with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Eagles have the better record, obviously, undefeated. But the Lions would have played better football 2 weeks in a row than Philly has played. Philly's undefeated. They're the best team in football at knowing how to win. Used to be Kansas City. Now it's them.
Mm-hmm.
They have not played great football. Their offense has not been great. Saquon hasn't run for 100 yards yet this year. And they know how to win, but not great. I think if Detroit somehow beats Baltimore tonight, you are looking at Detroit right there neck and neck with the Eagles. If Baltimore wins, I think it's Baltimore 1 and Buffalo probably a 1A.
You know what's crazy, though? The loser goes to 1 and 2 early.
Right.
And that's a problem. So it's a big swing. It's a
That's
big
a very
swing.
good point.
Because going
you
1
go
and 2
from maybe being the best team in the league to you're under 500 and every week's a fight now.
Yeah,
it's a very good
because
point.
you're already kind of digging out, especially with the single bye now in both conferences. So it's a big swing game.
Yeah, all right, so I don't know. What's the spread on tonight's game?
5.5.
Baltimore. Wow, that's a lot.
5.5.
That tells you something right there. Again, I don't gamble. I can't do it responsibly. If you're going to gamble tonight, don't do it because you lost yesterday. Do it because you like this game out of the gate. And always bet responsibly, please. And if you have a problem, definitely tell someone that something's wrong with the way you gamble. There are people out there that can absolutely help you. I'm one of them. Reach out. Happy to have that conversation. That's a huge number. That's one of those numbers where a lot of people, the betting public, is normally going to say, oh, wait a minute. I get the Lions plus almost a touchdown. I'm taking Detroit. My advice to you would be go the other way in this. If you're gambling, I don't, but I don't make picks here anyway. I think Baltimore wins by a lot tonight. All right, but Tyrone, how'd you do in your picks over the weekend?
I was 2-1 over the weekend.
2-1. That included a Temple pick,
which covered. Told
barely,
you.
But okay,
I tried to tell you. They covered. That's barely.
There you go. So you
W's
had
and L's.
Everyone had the Green Bay loss.
Yeah,
you had them, and you won last night with Kansas City. Okay, so you're over 500 on the year.
Yes, I am 7-3.
And what is your pick on tonight's game?
I like Baltimore minus the 5.5.
You listened. You
I
finally grew up and decided to listen to your elders.
Now, I will say that I hope people have a set aside money when they gamble. What I mean is, like, if you treat it like any other budget, you would have a certain amount of money set aside. If you don't have money set aside, don't bet it.
Yes.
But the side to me is clearly the Ravens.
Yeah, by the way, I think the Ravens win this game by double digits.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Detroit just off of last week. I'm not saying they're not that good. I'm not sold on them being as bad as they look week one. I don't know what they are. I'm not sure if the message stopped being received by the players from Campbell, and I don't know about the new coordinators either. Yeah. They looked mad good last week, but I think Baltimore's the best team in all of football. So I like Baltimore. We'll be here tomorrow morning to talk about all of it. Thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.